Okay, so this is the fourth and final video of Unit 3, Day 3 for Algebra 2. Really simple concept, and that is discussing whether a function is one to one, right? So a function that's one to one, I'll give you a second to pause this screen and look at the definition, but basically every element of the range corresponds to precisely one element of its domain. So what do we mean by that? Well, this graphic right here is the simplest way to see it. That and we can also look at some basic geometry behind uh, either one of these two functions. So, for example, so f of x is equal to the square root of x, right? So this function is one to one, right? So if we go, to the left of zero, anything less than zero, well, we have imaginary numbers, right? And if we just continue, well, we start getting larger gradually uh, for bigger values of x, right? And we see that there's no repeating values, right? However, if we look over here at g of x, right? G of x equals x squared, right? What do we see? Well, we see that, you know, all the way going down, if we just continue, the first time that we have a repetition is between -2 and +2. We have we have elements uh, of the range of our y values that correspond to more than one element of the domain. Okay, so basically, for every x value, we should only have precisely one y value, right? So over here, we see that this is the case, right? For every y corresponds to only one x. Okay. Over here for g of x, we see that that is not the case. So basically, this guy is one to one, right? And this guy over here is not one to one. Okay, so real fast, let's look at the geometry. It basically is going to come down to, so let's go ahead and look at the two of them. So here's the square root of x, right? If I say that, okay, so let's do a slider here, y equals a, and it's in a not, yeah, it's going to not let me do a slider. Well, I guess they did away with that function. But anyway, if I had a horizontal line, right, it would never touch this graph more than once. But if I instead say x squared, right, and I have a horizontal line, I don't understand why it's doing that. I guess they're starting to recognize new variables. There's some update on Desmos that no one else heard about. I didn't get the memo. But we see if we draw a horizontal line, so this line right here at y equals 20, right? So for example, we see that it passes through the function more than once. So this horizontal line cuts it twice. That means that this function is not one to one. Whereas if I say square root of x instead, right, and I take this y equals line, and let's say I put it through, I don't know, y equals 5, right? It touches only precisely that one time. It'll never touch it again. Okay? Not the case here for the parabola, y equals x squared. Okay, so again, that simply means, right, if it's one to one, every y corresponds to only one x. Otherwise, if that's not true, then it is not one-to-one. Okay, so that does it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions about one-to-one functions. You know where to find me. Goodbye.